the streets I used to own.
Coldplay is the most successful British band of the decade. They've sold more than 40 million albums worldwide. And though they've been knocked, which is par for the course, they've balanced this commercial success with critical acclaim. 7 Grammys and 6 Brit Awards. In tonight's South Bank show, we follow the band on The band's coming to the end of a 163-day tour across 112 cities, playing in some of the biggest stadiums in the world.
Before we went on tour, I'd only been on a plane to Aberdeen. You know, that was kind of the furthest I'd been. So it was, yeah, life-changing.
Yeah, ha, 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 ha. 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 Yeah, ha, 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 ha.
What about, is everybody all right? Everybody okay? Everybody happy? 타노신대로, I remember that. Yeah. Got to try and figure out how to speak some Japanese and stuff, which is always a disaster. So God only knows what it sounds like when a singer turns up once every 3 years and tries to say what a nice day it is. You'll see like 15,000 bewildered faces. The problem is with this one, I can't remember what each thing means.
As I'm talking to you, you're just coming to the end of a 163 concert tour. It must be fun, isn't it, standing up there playing your music?
The feeling before we walk on stage, I don't think will ever disappear. It's just such a great moment. It seems like we're on stage for about 5 minutes before we're coming off again. So it's always a thrill.
When you're playing live, it is a very addictive feeling, and it's hard to match it. When the lights go down, just something like whooshes through you.
Literally just before we go on stage, when we're standing by the side of the stage, we just have a little moment where we, all get together and remind each other of why and how we're in the position that we are, and that it's an opportunity not to be wasted, and then we go on with our little sparklers.
They are turning my head out just to see what I'm all about. Keeping my head down just to see what it feels like now. Oh, I have no doubt one day we're gonna get out.
Those 90 minutes or 100 minutes is so hyper-real. Everything is so full-on. It is the best possible thing you could want to do with your life. It just doesn't get any better.
When you release a record or start a tour, once all the press noise is over, you're left with whether the person in row J looks interested or not, or whether they're singing along, and that's the only time when I really know if something's good or bad.
Yeah.
So if you notice, because when you're singing in, I don't know, Wembley Arena, you can only really see the outline of the exits. So in some songs,
That's a nice message, isn't it?
no, but in some songs, all you can see is a clear doorway, and you can hear the crowd singing. So you think, wonderful, this song is great. And then it's when the light all starts getting blocked and everyone's going to the bathroom.
Toilet break song.
And you're like, okay, that song's out.
We should never have put that song on the
And
album.
I know some other singers judge it that way as well. You judge it by the bathroom breaks.
Not so much the litmus test as the lavatory test, is it?
Very much so. Yeah.
It's always just flattering, when people sing, and you'd never take it for granted or get bored of it, I think when you're in a big room with that many people, it's very difficult to not be affected by it.
It makes me laugh sometimes that these things that you've written in the heights of loneliness, in the middle of the night when everyone is asleep, that then suddenly there's like 20,000 people singing it with you. It's such a funny transition, because you couldn't have started in a more individual place, but then when it finishes up in such a collective atmosphere, I mean that really makes me purely happy. That's what I'd say. Pure happiness.
皆さんこんばんは、楽しんでる？
But it's wonderful to see the kind of life force and vitality that comes off there in Coldplay's music. Yeah, they are one of our biggest influences. I mean that sincerely, because they raised the standard. They upped the ante.
Well done, everybody.
And as a lyricist, I think he's up to something very interesting and quite subtle.
Coldplay have bought their own recording studio, The Bakery, down an alley in Camden Town, London. It's very near to where they did their first rehearsals and to where they played their first gigs. You've settled here. What does this place give you, and why do you want to have it?
It's our house.
Yeah, it is. It's we're in our living room right now. Everything about it is us. So you never feel like you're on someone else's time or in the way at all. You never have to set up anything ever. It's the way you left it 2 weeks ago. If you go away,
One thing that impresses me about it is this comparative smallness of it, is the comparative lack of lavishness of it, is as if you, 4 men, wanted to get back in some way to being the 4 students you were when you met.
There's less posters of Pamela Anderson than we had in our student house. But
that's because you're a respectably married man.
So we have just pictures of our musical heroes. And I certainly feel that it's made us very, very close. And it's stopped any of the bad people that you start to be surrounded with when you get bigger.
Yeah.
They only come in when we ask them.
It's a good area to be around it. Interesting around here.
So we did this bushfire benefit concert, 6 weeks ago? Mm-hmm. And we went on first, so we didn't have any lights or, any of our normal smoke and mirrors.
Did you just suddenly decide to jump off the ramp? Or had you thought you might do it?
Well, part of the problem with every frontman is that you have this chip in you that most people don't have, which is this desire to make everyone happy, which often fails. Or there's this desire to do something that you think is interesting when you feel like things might be going a bit stale. So either out of desperation or excitement, I thought, well, I'll just go for a run. It was a tremendous error.
Yes.
And
I'm surprised to see you sitting there now.
Yeah. Not the best thing to do safety-wise, but it's nice to get in amongst people who are listening to a concert.
These guys just played on.
Yeah.
They didn't pause.
No.
Show must go on.
For either thought or concern. I thought, well, they're doing okay.
Exactly. My view is if Will doesn't stop, then I know it's all right.
Life goes on.
Absolutely.
It's very rare that you'll get the sound of 2 drumsticks being thrown down, and you know you're going to turn around and see that face shaking his head. Los Angeles, California, and it's kind of like our Olympics today, you know. We're going to the Grammys. It's very funny to talk about awards because it's obviously not really in the spirit of punk rock or rock and roll. But then if you've got there by doing what you believe in and didn't have to compromise anything to get there, then it's something to be celebrated, I think.
I used to rule.
Should we go through it?
The world, season rise when I gave the word. Now in the morning I sleep alone, between the streets I used to own.
I'm feeling quite nervous, actually. It's the biggest thing in American music, you know. So to be nominated for 1 is great, but 7 is ridiculous.
You know, it's amazing to be nominated for so many, but it just makes it even worse if you don't win any. Sets like you're crap on all accounts. Yeah. It's the hardest crowd in the world to deal with. A crowd full of very talented musicians. You always feel inadequate. There's always a better drummer than you somewhere. There's always a better guitarist or whatever.
What are you guys doing?
We're having a meeting saying we want to be louder than Grohl.
Good luck, motherfucker. You gotta try a little harder than that.
Do good.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. Keep making great music.
Thank you very much.
And I hope you win a lot of prizes tonight, okay?
It's very kind, Neil.
Good.
Thanks for coming and saying hi.
Good, guys.
Great to
Take
meet you.
care.
Good luck. You can judge how well you're doing by how many people want to say hello to you backstage. If everyone's a bit like, oh yeah, nice to see you, I've got to go. That's when you know your album wasn't that good. But if people stop and say, yeah, you know, well done, then that's a good feeling.
How are you doing? You alright?
And the Grammy for Song of the Year goes to Coldplay for Viva La Vida!
It was amazing. We're bowled over. I don't usually enjoy award ceremonies, but this one's been good. Coldplay.
We feel so grateful to be here, and I'm going to tear up. It's going to be crazy, but thank you so much, and that's all. We're going to go back to our chair.
Coldplay won 3 Grammys, including the prestigious Song of the Year award. Is it harder now that you're very successful with great critical acclaim, great number of awards, great number of sales, and this huge tour that you're just finishing as we speak? Is it harder to keep motivating yourself?
No. It actually gets easier because to make things better you have to work harder, and our goal is always to try and get better and to try to represent ourselves as well as possible. And so I don't know, it's what we love to do. It genuinely is. It's not hard to motivate to do this.
I think we all felt slightly dissatisfied with the third album for various reasons. I think it took us quite a long time to make. It wasn't particularly spontaneous. I think we were trying to make a record that people expected of us, and we weren't really trying to make a record that we were doing just for ourselves. And I think with the 4th record, we had kind of really learned from that experience, and we decided that we would be making a record which was what we want to hear or what we want to do.
And there was a sense of coming together personally as well in that, wasn't it? From from what I've read about you, that you not drifted apart, but you did become a little frayed in the middle. And you got double top. You got massive sales and massive critical acclaim.
I wouldn't say that things had become difficult between the four of us by any means. It just felt like we were not quite what we had set out to be. We were bigger than we were better. So we wanted to try and go back to exactly the way it was when we got together in 1998.
From the beginning, there came about two big decisions for you as a group. One was that you would split all proceeds 4 ways, equally. And secondly, that all 4 of you had to agree that the song was worth doing before it got through. Seems to me you could take forever, couldn't you?
Yeah, and invariably do, much to everyone's annoyance.
Probably Chris and I can get very overexcited about going in certain directions, and I think Will, in particular, who very much has his feet on the ground, sort of can rein us back a bit.
I know that often I have to bite my tongue because I know I've been wrong on a number of occasions about certain songs, and you know, which when I've heard it in a demo version, I've gone, I'm not so sure about that, and then it turns out to be Clocks or something like that. You know, it might just take someone doing something, a vocal line or a guitar line or something to kind of, you know, switch it on the right path for me.
What's good about the way we write songs, I never quite know what I'm doing because I can't read music. So take a song like Clocks, okay, so I just mean I was sitting down messing around like this. I mean, this is just terrible. And then suddenly, where does that go? I don't know. It just comes out like that. I just want to start singing. Then Will will say that's terrible, and Johnny will say no, keep going. That was one which Will didn't like at first, until we did that. And then he said, okay, now it's great. Today we've got the Brits, which is a bit like the office Christmas party for musicians, you know. You get to see everybody and tell each other how great each other's records are and how it's just so tragic that they've been misunderstood. That's how a musician insults another musician. I really like that song, Chris. I don't understand why it didn't do well on radio.
At tonight's ceremony, Coldplay are nominated for 4 Brit Awards.
And the winner is Iron Maiden. And the winner is Elbow Duffy. Go the love!
We were humiliated on a national scale. It was tremendous. So we left kind of tail between our legs, convinced that we were even worse than everyone had predicted. But then we went and did this concert for War Childs and thought, well, to get rid of the misery of, you know,
I'm not winning
anything.
That's right.
We'll ask some people we love to come and sing songs with us, and we'll kind of remember why we all do music in the first place, which is, of course, to play music. Gary Barlow came down and we sang Back for Good, which was a lifelong ambition of mine.
Now it's time that you came back again.
Oh my God. made my life.
I don't need babies anymore. That's like...
We still got to write something as good as that. It's killer. Killer. That's one of the moments of history in my life. You know, you should think about getting a band back together.
I don't know. One more time. Whatever I said, whatever I didn't mean it. I just want you back for good. Want you back, want you back, I want you back. See, I want you back for good. Wherever I go, just tell me the song and I'll sing it. You can write another stuff. Want you back, want you back, want you back. See, I want you back for good.
One day we'll write a song as good as that. How can we follow that, man? I don't know.
I don't really feel famous at all, so I very rarely will people recognise me. And if they do, they're usually really nice. So I would never want the level of recognition where even people who don't like you recognise you. I cope very well with not being famous.
I very rarely get recognised, which is absolutely fine by me. You know, I love doing things. You know, I love going to the supermarket, and I love kind of just going shopping and, like, you know, all that, what you would call normal sort of day-to-day life. And it would be terrible for me if I couldn't do that.
Chris gets a lot of paparazzi attention, which he understandably resents. And on the whole, except when you're on tour, of course, they leave you comparatively alone. Do you feel you have to sort of look after him in that way, or he's got an extra burden, or what's the dynamic inside that?
I'm not sure how I would react to that kind of attention. I think I'd find it very hard to be restrained or to deal with it at all. So I think we're all very grateful that he acts like a shield for the rest of us, and he manages it surprisingly well.
And that's also the front man's job. You know, if you're going to marry an actress and you're going to be a front man, you've got to take what comes with it.
Take the hit.
And if it means you have to buy more hooded tops and sneak around a bit, then that's just the way it is.
The band first met as students at University College London in 1996.
Well, I really think we came to university with the same idea that we would try and form a band with some people.
I think what was quite important for us is we all knew each other for about a year before we played any music together, so we did have this friendship which was based purely on friendship rather than, you know, being musicians, which I think is key to why we've managed to, you know, remain so close for so long.
Sometimes I wake up and I'm falling asleep. I think that maybe the curtains are closing on me, but I wake up. Yes, I wake up.
Guy was attracted by your Fender Rhodes.
He was. He didn't like me at all. Guy thought I was really an idiot, and then he worked out I had this old piano in my room, and then he showed an interest. I think him and Will bonded through alcohol. We bonded through guitar. I got extremely excited and forced him to write a song with me.
One of the great things about being at university was the fact that there was time on our hands. You could choose to be, you could structure your days around playing music, and that was invariably what we did pretty much every night.
We're in my old flat where Chris and I used to live about 10 years ago, and this is where we first started rehearsing, when Will first joined the band.
This was Johnny's bedroom and our band rehearsal room. We used to have to put towels all over the drum kit, and so the neighbours downstairs would get.
They were very understanding.
Yeah, they were very nice, but you know, we were aware of the fact that there was, you know, that we had a potential for being really annoying to neighbours. So it's funny to think that it all stemmed from this bedroom there. This was the first gig. This is, embarrassingly enough, Johnny and I made this flyer in some computer room somewhere. Unfortunately, we were called Starfish at the time. There's not much to say about that, other than I'm glad we changed our name.
I wanna be bigger, stronger, drive a faster car. Take me anywhere in seconds. Take me anywhere I wanna go.
I think this was the first gig that we did under the name Coldplay. I used to find it so nerve-wracking playing these, you know, these little shows. I had that real sick feeling before we went on. You really felt that you're under the microscope a lot more than we do now in many ways. The songs here are definitely the beginning of the sound that people associate with us, with the exception of this song here called Ode to Deodorant, which was a funky little number which didn't have a very long lifespan.
I mean, when we did the first session for Radio 1, I think we cancelled it once because we realised it clashed with some of their exams. Usually you expect bands to have mastered a few basic chords that you need to start a band with, but this group could already really play and were experimenting very early in their career. And I don't think I've ever seen a band who, with a finished article in the same way that they were, but also suggested that they could go on. You could hear the second album almost in them before, obviously, they'd even made their first proper single.
Were you writing stuff that you've picked up on since, used since?
One of the first ever bits we ever wrote made it onto our last record. It just was a verse that never had a chorus until 10 years later, a song called Violet Hill.
Oh, yeah.
But only the verse of that song is ancient, but it was just waiting for its chorus, like a sort of old spinster, and eventually it arrived.
As a young bride?
As a
It was a long, dark December. From the rooftops I remember there was snow, white snow.
When we all met and we started playing music, it wasn't just a case of, okay, let's have a go and let's have a bit of fun, because I really believe passionately that we had something special. You know, I really felt that we had a good chemistry from the outset and that there was no reason why it shouldn't work.
You did get going quite soon. You had the contracts with big companies before you took your finals at university.
Yes.
That's quite something.
Yeah, it was a very strange feeling, actually. In a way, it took a lot of pressure off, you know, all the stuff that was, you know, the university stuff. But it was quite odd to think that as soon as that was finished, that's it. We're now, in inverted commas, professional musicians.
And this place is called Monkey Shoes, where I came 10 years ago to ask forgiveness because I sacked Will, or we sort of split up for a bit. We got signed and we went into the studio and we were doing okay, but this producer we were working with told us we weren't good enough, we weren't technically good enough, and what bands often do in that situation is blame the drummer for going out of time or whatever. And we didn't really know that music was supposed to be about the feel of it. You know, we thought, God, everything's got to be technically perfect because we have a record deal now. And so it ended up with us asking Will to leave. Which is so anyway, so about 3 days went by and we were doing our thing and playing with a drum machine and stuff, and it just felt really miserable. called Will and I said, please will you meet me and Guy in this place, Monkey Cheese? He said, okay, one more chance, but this has got to change and that's got to change. So then they made me have lots of vodka and cranberry in remembrance of what a nasty piece of work I was being. So whenever I drive past you, it makes me feel sick. And even now, if I ever make a big mistake, I have to force myself to drink that stuff to just kind of remember not to be such an idiot ever again.
What's this about?
Well, this is a thing we wrote when we were 19 years old or 18. I think Will might have been 17.
So there's a lot of chicks and a lot of guys. What are you saying there?
Well, we put this on a wall with some missions and some goals, and then we did them all. So then we wrote some new ones. So the first mission was to rehearse with Champ. That's Will, of course. First gig, that was an important part of the list. Second gig, third gig, fourth gig. Hundreds of lists.
Yeah.
But this was our first one.
And first and arguably most important.
Reinvent the wheel in an emotional way.
Yes.
Well, that's okay.
It's quite a modest. We've got World Peace up there somewhere.
Well, it's either that or write 900th gig.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's go to Parachutes, your first album. The record company hoped that it might sell a few thousand. It ended up selling 2 million copies in a year. Now that must have taken you by the throat.
It did, yeah. But I suppose, the biggest reason that it did so well was a song called Yellow.
So I had that chord and I was like, oh, that's nice. So I was on that for a long time, just pounding that chord in Wales.
It's hard to remember exactly, but I think we really liked it. But I don't think we thought, wow, this is going to be the song that...
I can remember exactly what happened, man, because you were watching Tottenham play. I was just messing around. We'd just been standing outside. And then this chord change came, which I really loved. And then you go... And then you're like, oh, that's nice. And then the song starts to come out. So I ran through to their game, said, listen to this is incredible. And they were like, oh, good. So that's, that's all I had. Then the chorus came out 10 seconds later, and then it took us 8 months to record it. But we always believed that it would be the kind of access point to our band.
Why do you think it was such a success without being self-deprecating?
Well, I'm through with it. I can tell you're getting irritated.
Secondly, no, I'm not getting irritated at all.
It is irritating. Everyone, my parents, even my wife gets irritated by it. I can't help it.
So why do you think Yellow was so successful?
Well, it's fucking brilliant.
There you are. That's what you should say. Fine. Hi. Woke up to find yourselves famous. You also woke up to find yourself under public scrutiny, and you were accused of being polite and middle class. These terrible things.
Horrific.
That was the beginning of it. I mean, did you feel disadvantaged from doing what you were doing because of that?
We never did, and I don't think we ever will feel like a cool band. You know, when we were sort of starting out as a band, it was much cooler if you come from art college.
In music, polite and middle class are like, it's like calling someone a fat bastard, you know? It's rude.
I think there's something quite radical about Coldplay's good manners. And I don't think that's uncool. I think if you meet a filmmaker like Danny Boyle or Richard Curtis, and, you know, really great artists, you expect them to be organized, you expect them to be thinking people, aware and awake to what's going on around them. But you don't want that in a rock and roll band. You want them to be asleep and, you know, walking into walls. Why?
My dad tells a story that he was at a dinner and he said to someone next to him, one of my sons is a banker and the other one's an international rock star. And the guy next to him said, really? Which bank? And that's really the kind of place I come from, you know. It's not usual to throw away all that education money and take a risk on music, you know.
On gaps in the tour, the band come back to the studio to work on new material. One thing you seem to do is address your previous work and say, well, we can do better than that. But not only we can do better, but we want to move on from that, be different from that.
Well, we hired a teacher. We hired Brian Eno to come in and... I mean, this is the thing. We'd sold a lot of records and we could have easily said, OK, let's just keep doing that. But we invited him in and he doesn't care if you've sold one record or 100 million. He just, if he doesn't like something, he's very happy to tell you.
Tell me when you're ready on 7 and 8.
Brian Eno, he's, you know, the most extraordinary national treasure. And we used to say in U2, and I think it's true of Coldplay, that we didn't go to art school, we went to Brian. And I think they've learnt a lot from him. He's a mind-expanding drug, and I would watch this space because I think I saw them inhaling him.
He really tried to kind of knock us off balance a bit. I think he was very, very honest about what he felt about our music, our previous music, and he said, yes, you're good, but you could be a lot better, which, you know, is music to our ears, really.
That's nice. That note and that thing.
He brings in so many different types of music that you may never have heard of, or he makes it okay to try anything.
Why don't we all play as if we're from totally different bands and we've never heard of funk music, but we just happen to have been faced with this rhythm track. So you've only ever listened to AC/DC in your life, for example. And what about Will? You could have only heard the most abstract form of hip hop, where they use those very degraded sounds. Shall do.
I think it's a real credit to them that they're quite consciously saying, let's all go back to school in terms of making music. I mean, they don't have to. I'm sure they could carry on making and selling a lot of records, but they want to go further with the music they're doing.
if you were to walk into our studio in these weeks where we're working with Brian, you would be forgiven for kind of just walking straight back out again with your hands over your ears and thinking these people can't possibly be professional musicians.
There's a danger of repeating yourself musically, which I think becomes very boring to make and also very boring for people to listen to. So we always try and be as progressive as possible.
And that's what Brian has provided, an environment where no one is afraid to do something that at first listen sounds utterly ridiculous, and just kind of gently chisel away at it until it, until something half decent pops up.
There's one notable absentee from the studio, the singer.
I didn't ban Chris from the bakery. No, that wasn't the idea. Chris tends to come in with quite fully formed songs. And because he's supplied a lot of the music in them, it doesn't leave much space for other things to happen. So it means that the band doesn't really develop its full vocabulary. So we both arrived at the idea together, actually, to try me working just with the band to see what we could find without his very brilliant and dominating personality around.
I think secretly he's staging a coup and he's trying to edge me out under the guise of trying to improve our band. These are things I have to... This is a song called Wedding Bells, which I'm trying to get the verse for. It came out the other day. I'm on guitar. And it all came out at once because I like... Often if I hear a new chord, like I haven't heard, it just clicks something and then a melody comes out. So there was that chord in it. So then, I don't know why, but I was thinking about wedding bells.
Those wedding bells are ringing up upon that hill. I don't want to swallow such a bitter pill. You keep moving, baby, I'll stay still. I always loved you and I always will. La 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 la. When everything that went before doesn't matter. La 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 la. I always loved you and I always will.
That's how it came out. It's actually better on guitar, I think. But I'm still looking for that verse. A week later, it's a bad sign.
As soon as we finished a record, you feel like there's nothing you can do to change it. And so with the next thing you do, you have to address those inadequacies. You think, well, I wish we'd made the songs a bit shorter, or I wish we'd done more fast songs, or you always felt there's so much you could have done. There's an entire universe of things you could have done. You always feel like it's not quite as good as you wanted it to be.
They're one of those bands that I think would feel if they put out a bad record, it's just such a waste. It's a waste of their time, it's a waste of everyone else's time. They've had a lot of difficult recording sessions down the years, I think, and that's because they are. It sounds incredibly pompous, but they're very conscientious, musicians, and I think this will be what propels them onwards.
To a certain extent, we're wary about being too self-congratulatory because we don't ever want to appear complacent with what we've achieved and our work. So I think we always take bad criticism to heart.
About 3 years ago, we got really taken to pieces by the New York Times, which a lot of our friends were, a bit nervous about mentioning. But in fact, it turned out to be the most constructive. I read it and I was like, well, okay, I don't agree with that bit, but I do agree with that my lyrics aren't good enough. So I'm going to work a bit harder at that. Eventually, it becomes quite useful.
Do you feel the same?
Yeah, it's hard to take, very hard. But it does force you into self-examination, which I think is definitely a positive thing.
Well, we're on Parliament Hill at the moment, and I do a lot of running here. It's a great place to come and, just get away from the concrete of the city, really. We spend so much time in cities. I don't think any of us get hugely sort of nostalgic about what we've done, because we've never really sort of taken our foot off the pedal. We're always kind of thinking about where we're going next or what we're going to be doing next, and I think there might come a time when we can sort of relax a bit and look back and enjoy what we've done over the years. But certainly, still to this very moment, all of us are really thinking about the next project.
We try and improve, but equally, every so often, we do have to remind ourselves and say, we're actually doing really well, and that, every so often there's a release where we go, we have a very small kind of pat on the back, kind of, this is brilliant, I mean, every day we wake up knowing how lucky we are, but it drives us on to work harder.
We have very different personalities, but we do have the same kind of ambition and goals, and we're of the same mind when it comes to the band. Everything else we're completely different in, but when it comes to that, we're as one.
If I didn't have the band, I wouldn't have my kids, my house, my wife, anything. Everything in my life comes from it. That's what's terrifying. But also, I just feel very grateful for that. The man who is tired of London is tired of London. No, wait a minute. That's not right. The man who is tired of London is tired. No, the man... I'm not as good as Melvin on these quotes.
Well, next tonight, from porridge to rising damp, a brilliant comedy star and a life cut short by a heart attack aged just 31. He was the unforgettable Richard Beckinsale.